Standing up in McKinney. This is According to Callus, and it is Tuesday, January the 31st. Episode 344, and it's a Tuesday, so you know what that means. That's right, Texit Tuesday. Oh, wait, did you believe that? No, it's Texit Tuesday. Yes. The highlights, if you will, are Don't Give Up, Other Options, Battle on Many Fronts, and Focus on the Goals. All right, before I get started, let me remind you that you can help me help the cause, help what's going on. That's right, you like, share, subscribe. Do your part to get this show out and about. And if you're feeling particularly helpful, you can comment, you can rate, and you can review the show. Every little bit helps. We're still growing. There's a lot of room to grow more. I'd like it to be faster, but this is all completely organic, and I am not going to invest anything in the show beyond what I'm already spending until such time that it makes sense, and we're not there yet. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that this is my passion project. I do this 5 days a week to the best of my ability to get it out there, and I try and keep it lively, and fresh. Sometimes that means I go back and recap or rehash previous shows into what's going on today. The idea being that you can't always be evergreen, but if you're going to be talking about current events and current topics, you need to be able to show how they're relevant to principles, particularly things that have been previously stated. I try very hard to not contradict. I try very hard to be consistent and true, but I must admit, from time to time, there are exceptions to the rule. There are things that life just throws you sideways and you have to adapt. So, here we go, on with the show. Don't give up. So one of the biggest critiques, one of the biggest pushbacks that I see and have heard and haven't actually thrown at me is, oh, you people that you want Texit, you've given up, you're fleeing, you're leaving the rest of the United States, you don't care. Well, you're not entirely wrong. It's also called, don't commit yourself to a battle that you can't win. It's also called, don't be foolish, right? If you know your enemy and you know that your enemy is strongest, you don't face them there. You face them somewhere else. And I like to think that I've learned a lot about our enemies, that I have a pretty good idea of how progressives think and how the globalists think and what they want and what their end goals are. And I know that right now, the deck is stacked against us. It's not in our best interest to continue doing the same thing we've been doing. Now, I am not one that believes that all is lost and that cannot be brought back. I am not one that believes that everything's hopeless now, let's just throw in the towel. No, to the contrary, I think that this is a brilliant counterattack, right? You can't fix California, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, Washington, Oregon. You can't fix that. You can't fix Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Massachusetts. They're what some might say beyond redemption. Well, their state governments hate their people. The federal government, which is largely made up with and by people from those states, or at least from those mindsets that run those states, don't see us as somebody they want to live with. They can't coexist with us. Yeah, they put those nice little fancy bumper stickers on, but they don't mean a word of it. They have a different variation or a different understanding of what it means to coexist. They don't even want to tolerate us. What does that say? That means that you shouldn't fight a battle that you know you can't win. You should instead divert forces to find a battle that you can win, or at least that you would be successful in holding off their advances. So nobody wants to give up. Nobody is turning tail and fleeing. On the contrary, moving towards independence will only amp up the attacks, will only draw more attention to Texas and what Texas is trying to do. It draws a clear line and distinction. We have gone this far, we'll go no further. Here, we're taking the lead of the battle. We're bringing an offensive back towards D.C. So for those of you that want to black pill, those of you that want to complain, those of you that are going to claim the woe is me, yes, I am well aware that Austin is bad. I am well aware that our government in Austin is not going to help us. I'm well aware that our governor does not have our best interest in mind. But none of that should preclude the possibility of declaring independence. And when said independence is declared, we can refashion the government of the Republic of Texas to something that more closely resembles the liberty we desire, that mostly closely resembles the republic for which we stood, that would most closely resemble a representative republic based upon constitutional law, guaranteeing individual rights and liberties and protecting them. We can do that. But we can't do that if we continue to do the same things we've been doing time and time again. You can't expect a different outcome when you're doing the same thing. So let's just take a moment and acknowledge there are other options. Well, we could do the constitutional enforcement route. I know some of the people behind that. I applaud what they do. I support what they do. And to the extent that given an opportunity, I would advocate for them all day long. I believe that that is a lesser aggressive way of accomplishing the same thing. Likewise, even if Texas were to declare independence, we want and need those people involved so that when we recreate our new country, the Republic of Texas, they guarantee those rights, that they stick around to enforce our own Constitution. And because it would be, at least in theory, based in Austin, it will be easier to force them to do the right thing. Another option might be the Convention of States. And you say, well, Callis, how is that going to be? Stephen, if we leave the Union, we can't have a Convention of States. Well, okay, maybe not. But right now they have 19 states that are fully on board with calling for a convention. Some have said there's actually 30, but their numbering is a little dubious. But needless to say, they've been at this for a number of years, much like Texit has been at this, right? And if they should be successful, I don't know that they will, and if they should actually get said convention called, yeah, I'd want to be involved because that's opening up Pandora's box. They're recreating the entire Constitution for the entire Union. Now I ask you, which is more of a pipe dream? Which is more of a grasp or a reach? Which is more likely to happen? Texas declaring its independence or a constitutional convention or a convention of states? I'm open to other options. Let me know what they are. I mean, as it is, New Hampshire's going towards a free state status, right? Idaho's looking to pick up some other counties that are in the adjoining state of Oregon and Washington. Why? Because the people in those counties want nothing more to do with the crazy that runs Oregon or California. So they'll join Idaho. They could potentially do that without having to have a constitutional amendment or without having to have anybody from Congress raining on their parade. It's potentially possible, but we'll just see. But to say, well, you can't do that or you don't want to do that or woe is me, that's defeatist in nature. Not declaring independence, that's the last thing that you want to call defeatist. As far as other options, I don't really know. But if you got them, hey, listen to the end of the podcast, go down to the comments and put in another option or a link or something. Or better yet, if you really want to pique my interest, send me an email, accordingtocallis@att.net. Or you can text me. It's not that hard to find my phone number. Text me. Send me the link. I'm on Facebook. Make a comment on the Facebook page. If you think that I'm wrong, if you think that your option or your solution is the be all end all and or better, put up. Let me know what it is. I would like to see it. I might even be willing to help you because I'm for any and all options that will protect and increase liberty in the state of Texas, the Republic of Texas. I look at this as a battle on many fronts. We are being assaulted in the schools. The school districts we no longer control. They're a mess. Now we're fighting back. Some school districts are even maybe turning the tide backwards. But it really took adult men dressing as women for somebody to wake up and say, hey, our school districts have problems here. Come on, man. Well, what else is it going to take? Or better yet, go to a local church and listen to your pastor tell you how we're going to pretend that gay marriage is ordained by God. We're going to say that it's okay to kill your baby in the womb. And you know what? You other people, you're crazy. Or if you doubt me, go to the local city council meetings, right? And when they're looking at high density housing and forcing people into rental situations that maybe don't even want to be in there, or telling them that they can't go to certain areas at certain times, when they're looking to compact as many people into a small area as they can, what do you think their goals are there? Right? We're being assaulted on all sides. Not to mention every federal regulation agency that is interfering and intruding and overstepping and violating their structure and their authority and abusing their power. We're going to pretend that these entities aren't showing up in our state of Texas and assaulting us? I'm here to tell you, the battle is on many fronts. You can't possibly fight everything everywhere. And I'm not even going to get into the invasion on the southern border. Right? Now, maybe, just maybe, our governor will man up and do something about that. A little more than putting on a show. Maybe, just maybe, because our governor would like to be the president, he would see that the winds of change have come upon him, and we in Texas don't like being invaded. We don't like it when they come here from other states and bring their leftist progressive nature with them, and we certainly don't like it when the hordes of the earth descend upon Texas. And yes, that's a terrible thing to say, because I got to tell you, the majority of people I've met from south of the border actually do want a better life. They want to do better for their families. And it's really hard to fault somebody that wants to do that, but we're supposed to have rules. We're supposed to have limits. We're supposed to practice assimilation and integration. And it's really hard to do that when you're getting 100,000 people every week in one little town. Because they don't protect the border, because they don't keep things orderly. And I ask you, what do you think the actual outcome is? Well, again, the progressives and the globalists have different goals than the rest of us. They have their own outcome. They'll tell you all about it if you go listen to them, so you don't have to listen to me. You don't have to trust me. In fact, like I've referenced before, like the former Neil Bort's radio program, hey, just because I'm telling you something doesn't mean you should believe it. You shouldn't believe anything that somebody says or tells you or shows you until you've gone and done your own research and you've gone and verified it independently. Oh, say, I know the legacy media, they want you to trust them. They want you to believe that they're there telling the truth and they only want what's best. But don't deceive your own lying eyes, right? I mean, don't believe your own lying eyes. You just because you see this stuff happening doesn't mean it's true. Oh, come on. The battle on many fronts. It is encroaching. It is pushing in upon us. And you can't fight every battle everywhere. No, you have to have another option. And that leads directly to the goals, right? If you focus on the goals, you have an understanding of what you're trying to accomplish. And that gives you the best, easiest way to counterattack, the best and easiest way to plant your flag and stand. The line has been drawn. Are you going to cross? Are you going to join Travis? Crockett? Zavala? Are you going to follow the lead of Houston? Are you going to be willing to put your lives, your fortune? Are you going to put it online Do you have any sacred honor? Are you willing to stand where our forefathers did it not once but twice? Actually, if you want to get down to it, it was done 3 times. They were successful the first 2 times, but the third time, sadly, they were misguided on what they were trying to protect, and they were forcibly put down by an invasion from the north. Oh, you don't like that phraseology? You think I'm not being fair? Okay, whatever. Here's the thing. If you're not willing to say, yeah, mistakes were made in the past, we don't agree with that stuff, we've moved on, and our goal is to maintain our independence. Our goal is to boost our sovereignty. Our goal is to protect individual rights and liberties. Our goal is to make sure that Texas stands as the beacon of liberty and justice for the entire country that we formerly belonged to and the entire world. I think that's a pretty noble goal. I think that's a doable goal. You just have to be willing to make that sacrifice. Now, I know there are a lot of naysayers. There's a lot of people that are actually sympathetic to the cause, but they say we're too weak. We're too cowardly. We're too comfortable. We're not going to do this. They may be right. I don't want this to come to a war where it goes kinetic. No, I would love nothing more for this than be dealt with in a political solution. I would love nothing more than for, I don't know, we elect some people that actually stand for right and will stand for our rights, and we tell the feds, yeah, it's been nice while it lasted, but you guys have violated your own constitutional restraint and we're no longer going to be a part of it, and to that end, we're declaring our independence. We are going to reassert our independent sovereignty. We're happy to be your ally. We're happy to even be the buffer between Mexico and the United States, but we're not going to be part of some North American Union. We're not going to subdue our people to pretend that we're part of some greater globalist vision. No. We're Texas. We are going to be Texas first and Texas forever. It's not that hard. You have to be willing to put it out there. You have to be willing to say, we've gone this far, we will go no more. We're going to push back. We're going to take the battle to you on our own terms, which means politically, we're done. We're not going to play your games anymore. I don't know how this plays out. And if I were the commanding general of the Texas Guard, okay, well, maybe somebody'd listen to me. Oh, I don't know. If I was an elected state senator, maybe somebody would care what I have to say. If I was a Texas state rep, I'd be on that back mic, beating them down every day about how we're wasting our time cutting deals with the feds because they'll never, ever uphold their end of the bargain. That they only want to grow their control and their power over us. And while I believe that there are still a percentage of Democrats that are good people and want the same things that we want, sadly, their own party doesn't want them anymore. And then the Republican Party is busy selling out the very conservatives that get them reelected, the very liberty lovers that have a vested interest in keeping the state red. And by red, I mean Republican, not commie red. Okay? And don't even get me started on that whole scenario. If you're not willing to stand now, when? If you're not willing to fight when we have an opportunity to win, when? I'll tell you when. It's when there's nothing left. And to accept loss means total destruction, wiping out everything that once was. I don't want to do that. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to reenact what happened in Europe 80 some years ago. I don't want to reenact what happened in China some 60 years ago. I want our people to get engaged, to take the bull by the horns and continue to move forward. And if you want to stop short of declaring independence, that's fine. Reassert our sovereignty. Tell the feds to stay back. Tell the feds to stay out of Texas. Reassert the idea that we are an independent state within the Union. If we can at least do that, we'll be so much better off than what we are right now. I know there's a lot of you that are afraid or not quite willing to pull the trigger on independence. I get it. I respect that. as long as you're willing to do something. If you're just going to pretend this is some political ploy, okay, whatever. If you're going to just say, well, that'll be the last ditch effort. Okay, fine. But what are you going to do before then? What are you doing now to prevent us from having to go down this path? What are you doing now to push back so this inevitable outcome in my mind doesn't come to pass? Are you going to be like, I don't know, some people from Collin County that just say, well, you're a seditious. You're a radical. You're a traitor. Really? Really? I would say to those people, I'll put my life record, my service up against yours any day. Respectfully. I enlisted when I didn't have to. I served when I didn't have to. Yeah, I got a sweet deal. It was peacetime Navy. I struggled with the idea, do I re-enlist? Do I go back in when 2001 hit us? Where were you? What were you doing? Hey, and I know there are a ton of people that served and saw combat. I know there are a ton of people that served and did it for years. Maybe they saw combat, maybe they didn't. I don't even hold myself up to them. But to have somebody that never served, that never did anything, call me a traitor. Call people that support Texit traitors. Say we're seditious because we want to preserve and protect Texas. Really sticks in my craw. Now you can say, I don't agree with you. I think you're wrong. I think the union's worth saving. I think that the federal government should have all the power in the world. I would at least respect that you're honest about that. But when you have no answer, when you have no rebuttal other than to call somebody else's names, that speaks to your character or your lack thereof. I'm going to tell you, if you're on the fence on this, that's okay. Be honest with yourself and be honest with those around you. You got to be willing to have this conversation. You've got to be willing to say, you know what, I'm not sure this is the right answer now. Maybe these other options are more reasonable. Maybe they're easier. There's a lower bar there. Maybe. But are you willing to at least do that? Are you willing to take a step out in faith that that's maybe going to solve the problems? I don't know that it will or not. But do something. I'm asking you. If nothing else, be willing to support the idea that there should be a resolution put forth on the next election cycle, basically asking the question, should Texas reassert their independence? Just think about the 6 months or the year's worth of debates and discussions and arguments that would go on having to do with that. Think about the educational prospects there. Think about the opportunities to look at, well, maybe we're not quite ready for Declaration of Independence yet, but what other forms of redress? What other forms of reconciliation can be done here? How else might we protect our sovereignty? You've got to be willing to look in at this. You got to be willing to go down that path. And while we're at it, let me remind you, before the episode is over, that February the 14th, that's right, Valentine's Day. Come show your love for Texas on Valentine's Day. It's a Tuesday night. There's plenty of time to take out your wife or your husband on the weekend before or the week after. Come see us. We're going to be at the Collin County Patriots at the Redemption Point Church in downtown McKinney, 107 East Lamar. We're going to be starting at 7. We'll be showing up around 6:30, so you got a little time for fellowship, maybe eat a little something, have a snack, meet Daniel Miller, then get to listen to Daniel Miller lay out, hey, this is the Texas Constitution, this is what it says, and this is why Texit is not only constitutional, but a good way to resolve these issues. Now, you don't have to believe me, you don't have to trust me, but we've got the foremost expert on this issue coming to McKinney, Texas on February 14th. And there'll be plenty of time for you to ask questions respectfully. There'll be plenty of time for you to doubt or air your concerns respectfully. It's worth your time. We're charging $10. You know why we're charging $10? 1, everybody needs money. 2, we have programs that we would like to do and we need the money. 3, the church can't survive with no money. Right? There are expenses. We want to take care of our host church. We want to take care of the people that invest their time into these issues. And we also want to take the time to thank people that show up and are involved. And you can't do that if you don't have any money. And I know, I've heard, oh, that's $20 if me and my wife or me and my husband want to come. I don't know. Let me ask you, when's the last time you've been to Whataburger? To go buy a lunch at Whataburger is about $12 right now. And don't get me wrong, I love Whataburger, though I can't have it right now. But if I can drop $12 for a lunch, I can certainly cough up $20 for an educational, insightful night, knowing more about this aspect of the Texas Constitution and this possible solution to long-term problems that we've been dealing with. You need to be willing to invest your time, your money. This is going to be happening, and I'd love for you to join us. I'll be there, and I want you to be there too. And with that, this is According to Callus. This was a Texit Tuesday, and I will see you not only on the other side, but on February 14th. Come and join us. Good night.